All right, let's dive right into this. You've probably seen the headlines, right? All the buzz around Google dropping VEO3, their new text-to-video model.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere.
And, yeah, everyone's getting excited about making these wild, kind of surreal clips. Like, did you see that one with the Yeti skateboarding?
Yeah, or the grandma's doing backslaps. It's mind-blowing tech,
It
totally.
really is.
Yeah.
But if we're being real, that's not the main story here, is it?
No, it's really not the whole picture at all. While the internet, understandably, is kind of captivated by the fun viral bits you can create, the truly game-changing thing that we're just starting to wrap our heads around, it's how these tools like VEO3, when you actually combine them within a really smart strategic research and content framework, can become, well, they can basically fuel entire automated marketing systems.
See, that's what got us hooked on the source material you shared. It wasn't just about the video tech. It was this guide outlining a super specific multi-phase workflow. And, it's not just VEO3. It brings in other AI tools, too, like NotebookLM for research, Gemini for content, and even Gamma for polish.
Yeah, it's about the system.
Yeah.
And our mission today really is to unpack this whole process they lay out. It shows how taking just one deep research effort, doing that work up front, can essentially power what they describe as this perpetual marketing engine, something designed to just, run and generate leads for you automatically.
It's a perpetual lead generation engine. I mean, who doesn't want that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. What does this engine even look like at a high level? The source breaks it into like 4 main phases.
Right, yeah. That's the core blueprint. Phase 1 is the deep research. It's all about digging in to find those, often kind of hidden, real customer pain points.
Okay.
What are people actually struggling with?
Gotcha. And then phase 2 is taking that research and moving into high-value content creation. You build something based on those pain points, something valuable enough to be, say, a lead magnet.
Exactly. And phase 3 is what they call the video-driven strategy. This is where you take that cornerstone content, that lead magnet you just built, and figure out how to turn it into a ton of ideas specifically designed for video content.
Which makes sense, obviously, with VEO3 in the mix. And then finally, phase 4, the automated distribution piece, that's actually setting up the marketing funnel, the whole thing, to, capture those leads automatically.
Right. And the key differentiator here, they emphasize, isn't just making a few cool videos for a week.
Right. Not just one-offs.
No.
Yeah.
It's about constructing a system that, could potentially run for months, maybe even a year, constantly bringing in qualified leads on autopilot while you and your team are off doing other important stuff. That's the big promise.
Okay, so let's get into phase 1, the foundation. This is the research part, obviously. And the source just keeps hammering home. You have to understand your audience's real pain points.
Yeah.
Not what you assume they care about, but what they're actually genuinely struggling with.
Yeah, it kind of starts with, really listening. And the guide suggests using Google's NotebookLM as the central hub for all this research.
NotebookLM. So how do you actually find and tap into that real voice they talk about?
This is where it gets pretty interesting. They mention NotebookLM's Discover Sources feature. It lets you pull in data from the web.
Okay.
And the guide specifically highlights pulling data from Reddit communities, subreddits, which, if you think about it, it's kind of brilliant because that's where people often go to vent, ask raw questions, or complain publicly.
Oh, wow. So you're not just running surveys or guessing. You're literally going to the digital town square where people are airing their frustrations.
Precisely. The goal, according to the guide, is to create a specific source document within NotebookLM, maybe call it something straightforward like user pain points.
Right.
And you fill this up with the actual conversations, the raw, unfiltered language directly from your target market.
Man, that feels like a pain point goldmine, like you said. Or like the guide puts it, you're looking for phrases that just scream frustration.
Totally.
Yeah.
They suggest scouting for things like, why is whatever your industry or topic is, maybe navigating financial planning so unbelievably complicated?
Yeah, or I'm so frustrated with a common problem, like figuring out social media marketing for my small business.
Exactly. Or maybe, does anyone else struggle with a very specific niche issue?
Or I've tried literally every tool for a task and they all just, they kind of suck because, that's where the unmet need really is.
Exactly. That raw frustration.
Yeah.
That's where the opportunity lies.
Mm.
And the guide even provides a prompt you can pop into NotebookLM once you've loaded up these sources to brainstorm potential topics for, the bigger long-form research project that's going to be your lead magnet,
Yeah.
based directly on these pain points.
Okay, so you've mined this raw goldmine of audience pain points in NotebookLM. Phase 2 is taking that and turning it into something really valuable, building the lead magnet.
Yeah, you transform those raw insights, that validated pain, into a comprehensive guide or a report, something so valuable that someone in your target audience would happily give you their email address to get it.
And the tool they really lean on here is Gemini, specifically using its deep research feature.
Yes, that's the core engine for this part. And the strategy they recommend, which is kind of cool, is what they call the meta prompt strategy.
A meta prompt. Okay, that sounds a bit fancy. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, it's not like, the company Meta. It's about thinking like one level above the final prompt. Instead of just directly prompting Gemini to write a guide about X based on these pain points, you first use a prompt to create a really detailed, extensive set of instructions for Gemini.
Ah.
So the first prompt's job is just to build the second, much more powerful and specific prompt.
Okay, so you're using AI to help you write a better prompt for the AI that's going to do the main work. That is kind of meta.
Kind of meta, totally. And this meta prompt framework, according to the guide, is designed to ensure the final report is super comprehensive.
Right.
It tells Gemini to structure it with a clear title, a detailed table of contents, write it in a narrative style that weaves in stories and insights, include a deep analysis of the problem, cover trends, regulations, the psychology behind the pain points, maybe case studies, and crucially, end with a clear call to action.
Wow, that's basically instructing Gemini to act like a full-on research analyst and a content strategist all rolled into one.
Pretty much, yeah. And then once you've got that meticulously crafted AI-generated super prompt, you just open a new Gemini chat. Make sure you're using a powerful model. They mentioned Gemini 2.5 Pro. You enable the deep research mode.
Ah, that's the key button, I guess.
That's the key setting, yeah. And then you just paste in your detailed meta prompt generated prompt, and, you let it run.
And what comes out?
What you typically get back is this massive multi-thousand-word report with all the research integrated, often with citations, something that a human expert would normally spend like weeks, maybe even months, researching and writing.
That is actually incredible when you think about it. You go from, raw frustration captured on Reddit to a fully researched, comprehensive report, like, in minutes.
The research and synthesis part, yeah, absolutely. The report itself is the output. Now, the guide is clear, though. A raw text document, no matter how well researched, isn't a compelling lead magnet. You got to make it look good.
Right. Nobody wants a giant wall of text. People expect a nice professional PDF guide.
Exactly. And for that, they suggest using Gamma. They point out it has a free tier, which is always nice.
Oh, good.
The process is export Gemini's output to, say, Google Docs, then hop over to Gamma, choose AI import, connect your Google Drive, select document format. This is important, not like a slide deck format.
Not presentation slides.
And crucially, select preserve content.
Right. Preserve content. So it actually keeps your structure and, headings.
Yeah, that's the goal. Gamma then kind of automatically transforms that Google Doc into this professionally designed document with nice layouts, maybe add some images, consistent formatting.
That saves a ton of design work.
Totally. They also have this pro tip. Before you export the final PDF from Gamma, just double-check the page setup to make sure it's letter or A4 size, not some weird slide dimension.
That's a smart detail. Nobody wants to try and print a guide that's formatted like a presentation slide.
Definitely not.
Okay, so you've got the valuable lead magnet. Now, phase 3, the content multiplication strategy. This is where you take that one big guide and break it down into dozens, maybe even hundreds of smaller content pieces.
Yeah, this is the atomization. You take your cornerstone guide, which is the hub, and break it down into all these smaller spokes.
And the whole point of those spokes is to drive traffic back to the landing page for the hub, right? Get people to download the big guide.
Precisely. Yeah. That's the engine part. And the guide provides a specific prompt for Gemini here, specifically designed to brainstorm these spoke ideas, aiming for maybe 10 to 20 short-form video concepts generated directly from the content of that main guide.
Short-form video makes total sense, especially if VEO3 is going to be your tool.
Right.
And they really focus on finding the viral angle for these video ideas.
Yeah. Thinking about platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels, they suggest looking for angles that are like humorous and relatable or validating and empathetic. making people feel like they're not alone in their struggle.
Yeah.
Or maybe revealing, like a behind-the-scenes look, or using parody and satire.
Okay, like if your guide was about, say, navigating the crazy world of health insurance, a viral video idea could be ridiculous things insurance companies have actually said.
Totally. Something that uses humor, sure, but it taps into a real shared frustration people have.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the guide even gives you a prompt to push Gemini to add those satirical twists to the ideas, specifically mentioning an SNL or TikTok-style vibe, and making sure that the call to action to download the guide is baked into the concept.
Okay, so now you've got like a whole list of viral-ish video ideas based on your core content. Phase 4 is scripting these ideas, but specifically for VEO3 success. This is where you really have to work with the tool, not fight its limitations.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Understanding the tool's quirks is critical. And the biggest one they highlight right now with VEO3 is character continuity.
Meaning you can't just generate 5 different clips and expect the exact same person to be in all of them, looking identical every time.
Right. It's not quite there yet, from what the guide suggests. But the really smart insight they offer is that this limitation, it actually forces you to be more creative and lean into video formats that thrive on having different people or characters in different segments.
That's actually a really cool way to spin a technical limitation. Like, instead of seeing it as a problem, see it as a creative constraint that pushes you towards more dynamic stuff.
Exactly. They suggest formats like man-on-the-street interviews, where you'd naturally have different people.
Ah, yeah.
Or customer testimonial mashups, social media reaction videos, or documentary-style montages. These types of videos are built on featuring different individuals or scenes.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And they give a pretty detailed VEO3 prompt structure for generating these scripts.
You do. It's designed to generate like 4 different scripts for one video idea, and explicitly tailored for VEO3's lack of continuity, meaning each segment or moment features a different person.
Oh.
The overall style is a fast-paced montage. And they even break down the timing, which is super helpful, like for a 40-second video.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Like the specific seconds for the hook, snappy intro line at .03, they actually highlight the .03 mark as the most important segment.
Yeah, that initial hook is absolutely make or break for short-form video, right?
Totally. Gotta grab them fast.
Then they bring it down into the setup, introduction, progression, escalation, climax, and the final CTA around the 40-second mark.
Wow, very specific.
And they just reiterate using those multi-speaker formats, making sure the characters are distinct, leaning into maybe a satirical or stylized tone depending on the idea, and always, always including that crystal clear, download the full guide below or whatever the CTA is.
It really feels like they've reverse engineered the process to work with VEO3's current strengths and weaknesses.
That's definitely the approach they outline. Now, quickly on the actual production part itself, getting access to VEO3 right now, as of, June 2025, the guide mentions it's typically through Google's premium AI tiers, like Gemini Ultra or similar programs.
So it's not just like publicly available or free for everybody yet.
No, it's presented as a professional level tool with a corresponding professional price point, maybe around $150 to $250 a month, depending on the tier.
Okay.
And you generally need a personal Google account linked initially based on what the guide says.
But for a business or a marketer, that potential ROI could be huge, I guess, if this system works.
Potentially, yeah. And creating and editing the video segments involves generating each short clip, maybe 8-10 seconds separately, using a unique prompt for each, varying the character or scene.
So you generate like 4 to 6 different small pieces video and then use an editor to put them all together.
Exactly, stitching them together. And the guide suggests tools like CapCut, which is pretty popular for basic editing on mobile or desktop, adding text, music, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've used CapCut. Pretty easy.
Or Descript, which is a bit more advanced and lets you edit the video by editing the transcript, which is kind of wild.
Oh, that's cool.
The ultimate goal is to take all these individual AI-generated bits and weave them into one single compelling story that flows and, most importantly, drives people to that call to action.
Okay, so you've got these engaging, fast-paced videos. Now for the final piece, building the actual complete automated marketing funnel. The videos are just the attention-grabbing top of the funnel.
Right, they grab people. But you need the rest of the machine to actually capture the lead and deliver the value.
Makes sense.
And that starts with a high-conversion landing page.
Where the video directs people to go, obviously.
Yeah. The guide is really specific about this page. It needs a super clear, benefit-driven headline. Tell them what they'll get.
Right. Focus on the value.
A brief description highlighting the key takeaways from the guide. A dead simple email capture form, just asking for the email address, is usually best for conversion.
Keep it simple.
And then, crucially, automated delivery of the lead magnet through your email marketing service.
Make it absolutely frictionless for people to trade their email for that valuable guide.
Precisely. And they mention tools you can use for this, like lead pages, card, or even just the landing page features built into tools like MailChimp.
Okay.
They even suggest you could potentially use Gemini to help you write the HTML code for a really basic page if you want to go that route.
Interesting option. And then the distribution strategy for these videos. How do you actually get them in front of people to start the engine?
The VEO3 videos you've created become the fuel for the top of your funnel. Post them everywhere as native social media videos. TikTok, Instagram Reels, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube Shorts.
Hit all the channels.
If you have an existing email list, you can send them there too. And if you have the budget, take the best performers, the ones that are getting the most traction, and use them for paid social ads.
Smart. Amplify what works.
The key, the guide emphasizes, is that every single video has that very clear, very direct call to action. Download the full guide here, sending them straight to your landing page.
It's not just random content. It's all interconnected, leading to that one key action.
That's the core principle behind this whole system. And the guide also touches on the economics, the potential ROI, what's the investment.
What does this cost?
Well, there's the VEO3 access cost, obviously. They estimate maybe 4 to 8 hours for the initial setup of this whole system, doing the research, creating the lead magnet, scripting the videos, setting up the basic funnel.
Okay, so a bit of upfront time.
Yeah. And then there are costs for other tools, though. As we mentioned, many have free or affordable tiers.
Right. And the potential return on that investment.
It's potentially significant because, as they point out, you're building a perpetual asset. That lead magnet keeps generating leads for months, potentially years, from the initial setup.
Wow.
There's the viral potential. One video could catch fire and bring a massive influx of free exposure and leads. It's 247 automation. The system is working for you around the clock.
Working while you sleep.
Exactly. And it's a scalable process. Once you've built one, you have a blueprint to replicate it for other audience segments or different pain points.
So you front load the work once, build the machine, and then it runs for a long time, continually generating leads. That's where the ROI really seems compelling.
That's absolutely the core value proposition of this approach outlined in the guide.
Let's kind of look at the bigger picture for a second. Where does this specific workflow fit into the overall future of AI-driven marketing?
What's really fascinating here is that high-quality video creation, something that used to be really expensive and time-consuming, is being democratized super rapidly.
Yeah, it feels like it's changing fast.
And that has huge implications for marketing.
I mean, does that just mean way more competition? If everyone can suddenly make good videos?
Definitely. The sheer volume of content out there is just going to explode, right?
Yeah.
So the guide argues that strategy and quality are going to matter more than ever before. If making the video is easy, the competitive advantage shifts.
Okay.
It's not about who can produce a video, but who produces the right video for the right audience with the right message as part of the right system.
And you're going to need authentic messaging to actually cut through all that noise.
Absolutely. AI can give you the visuals, the structure, help with the writing, but that core message, the genuine understanding of the audience's pain points, the unique angle that's the human part, and that's what's going to make content resonate and stand out.
That makes sense.
And honestly, building these integrated systems like the one detailed in this guide is going to provide a massive advantage over just creating isolated one-off viral clips, no matter how cool they are.
So it all comes back to the system, the engine, not just the individual pieces.
Exactly.
The guide wraps up, by saying that the future of marketing, it's kind of already here, and it's way more accessible than maybe people realize. The real question is just whether you jump in and lead the change or end up scrambling to catch up later.
It really feels like a call to action for marketers and entrepreneurs to start experimenting, to start building these sophisticated systems now that the tools are becoming available.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive then. I think the core takeaway from looking at this specific guide, it isn't just that, hey, VEO3 makes cool videos. It's that these powerful AI tools, when you've combined them strategically, let you build genuinely automated marketing systems that can drive growth.
It's that whole chain. Deep research leading to a high-value lead magnet, which is then broken down into multiplied content like those short videos, all feeding into an automated distribution funnel. That's the engine they're talking about.
Right. It's shifting the focus from just content creation to building a growth machine. And, here's just something for you to think about after listening. Given how fast these AI tools are evolving, what previously super time-consuming marketing task, what could you actually start building an automated AI system for, maybe using this kind of layered workflow starting today?